Hey everyone, I'm the Nature Hacker and this is your world. So today I want to talk about love again. And I know about a week ago, in a moment of clarity, I realized that I actually don't have agape selfless love. And that's kind of hard to imagine of yourself. Everybody wants to think that they're perfect and thinks that, they're good people and everything. And so you want to think that you have selfless love, that you can love selflessly, without expecting anything in return, etc. But in a moment of clarity, I realized I didn't have that. And so I got to thinking about it a lot, and I remembered that there was three other words for love in the Greek language. There's eros, there's storge, there's agape, and there's philia. So in the Bible it says that how can you claim that you love God if you can't even love your brother? So they're saying, how could you have agape love if you can't even have philia love? So, Philia, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. So that's kind of like brotherly love. It's like friendly love. It's kind of like I scratch your back, you scratch my back kind of thing. And then another form of love is eros, which is romantic love, which is, I feel, a little more selfless, a little bit more like, your life is now together with that person. Like, you have to compromise. It's not like you do something for me, I do something for you. It's more of like we do something together. So it's more of, I guess it takes away more of your freedom. It's more like your life is now kind of sacrificed for that person. So that's eros love. And then storge love is the love of a parent for their kids. So it's even more selfless than for their spouse. It's like, you really lay down your life for your kids. You do whatever it takes to provide for them, stuff like that. So it's like another step in selflessness. And so what kind of got me thinking along these lines was, I was like, you know what? Maybe if I don't have agape love, I was thinking maybe it's impossible to have agape love. Because like I said, everybody wants to believe that they're perfect, that they're the best person out there, right? So if I don't have it, then nobody does, right? Obviously, no. But I do think it is possible to have agape love in this life, and I'll get to that. But the thing is, what got me thinking along those lines was that I was like, you know what? Maybe if we can't have agape love in this life, maybe the other three forms of love kind of point us towards that agape, kind of prepare us for agape love. And I was thinking maybe in the next life we would have agape love. But I do think it's possible in this life. And so what I believe is that it's a stepping stone progress. One interesting thing that a lot of people talk about is that, like they meet a girl or something, and the girl wants to meet their friends. So it's like there's this thing of like the opposite sex is more attracted to somebody who has a lot of friends, who has a lot of connections and stuff. And there could be, you could think of probably evolutionary reasons why that would be, and rightfully so. I mean, somebody who has friends is more robust as far as, like if they fall in hard times, they have friends that can help them, things like that. But I'm thinking late, just after looking at these types of love, that maybe philia love, brotherly love, kind of friendly love, maybe that's kind of a prerequisite to eros love. Maybe philia love comes before eros love. And that if you have good philia love, then that shows that you're ready for eros love. So that's kind of the progression there. It's like, okay, you develop a lot of friends, and then it's like, okay, a wife or a husband comes out of that. So then I was thinking, well, what about these other ones? What about storge? And that totally makes sense, because storge is like, once you have love for your partner and they could, conceive or whatever, or you adopt or whatever, you have that established love with a partner, then out of that comes a next stage of love, which is storge love, which is love for your children or whatever. But not like pedophilia, obviously, but just like selfless love for your children, or adopted children, whatever, what have you. But so it really made me think, man, maybe this is a progression. And then I know from the scientific research that humans are supposed to live to 120 years old, and that makes sense because we've seen people live to 120. So if some people can do it, it should be possible for all of us to do it. So another thing is that germ-free mice, so mice that have no gut microbes, they live 50% longer than their normal counterparts. So that would translate, what's 50, like let's say humans obviously live around 80 years old. What's 50% longer than 80? 50% of 80 is 40. So you add that on top, so 80 plus 40 is 120. So that would mean if we were germ-free, if we killed all of the bacteria in our body, we would live to 120 years old. So I've known that for a long time. That's why I really believe that I can live to 120, you can live to 120. Anybody who is terraforming their microbiome, there's a bee around me. Anyone who's terraforming their microbiome, meaning like consciously changing their microbiome, like either you're using probiotics or you're using something like my SADC, Super Advanced Detox Cleanse, something like that, where you're killing off these bacteria. Even food grade diatomaceous earth is probably the cheapest, easiest way to terraform your microbiome, and you could probably live 110, 120 with just DE alone. But so anyway, I knew that we were at 120, and I'm 30 right now, and I do feel behind. Part of it was just I was in school for so long. I lost a lot of my friends by just staying in school, and stuff like that. A lot of my friends moved away to like Colorado and stuff like that. But and then I lost a lot of friends from leaving the church that I was in. So I'm behind, and I'm starting to realize that, my business is very behind too, because I don't have anybody working with me. Got Parvo is probably the closest to somebody working with me. Also, Elena has been helping me with like teeth powder, stuff like that. But I really don't have too many people working with me. Ideally I would have a whole group of friends who, are, one person wants to help work on this or that, and we could really get something into the mainstream, get something into stores, get something packaged, get something marketed, get something advertised, but I can't do that as one person. As one person, I can run the business good enough to like keep myself afloat, barely, but I don't really have enough to be able to get to that next level where I could support like Eros Love, actually like support a partner. So I want to get to that. I'm 30 years old, and I think here's the thing. 0 to 30, you're supposed to be building philia love, and that friendship type thing going on will get you to a place financially secure enough to be able to step out into Eros Love. And then so that Eros Love is from 0 to 60, and there's obviously crossover, but I just think that these 30-year periods are the main form of love. In that 30-year period is the form that I'm talking about. So from 30 to 60, it's Eros Love, so that love of a partner, that caring, that tending to a partner, things like that. And then from 60 to 90, that's Storge love. That's like the love of a father or a mother for their kids, making sure their kids are well set up in their life, that they're learning philia love and whatnot. And so from 90 to 120, now these I believe are the golden years that almost nobody gets to experience, and that's really sad. But these years are when your kids are already well established, doing great, having their own families of their own, and your heart turns toward God, or the creator or nature or whatever you believe in, And that is agape love. That is the love of, the total selfless love of creation, of the universe, of God. And so that 30 years, 90 to 120, is when you will have the fullness of agape love, is what I believe. So that is what I believe. So to move on to the next level, you have to be able to conquer the level that you're at. I feel like I'm behind in philia love. I'm going to try to make more local friends. And, in philia love, it can be at arm's length. It doesn't have to be too intimate. So I think that you can achieve a lot of it probably online, possibly. But I really feel like I need to meet some people in real life so we can really have those strong connections and like work together better and things like that. So hopefully I can find some people with like-minded interests. I think I can. There's a couple groups like in the area I'm at, like that have to do with like business people who are in like the health fields and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try to attend some of their meetings and things like that. So I think there's always a way, and just need to get active. Right now I don't even have a car, so that makes it a lot harder. So I probably need to get a car. But yeah. So that is that. And is there anything else I wanted to talk about? I did want to talk a little bit about my diet. And so I said in my last video, I believe it's last or the one before last, that fat and protein really spike your insulin when they're combined with carbs, and they really mess stuff up. So, it makes you tired after you eat. It makes you, sleepy, obviously, tired, same thing. It makes you have lipodystrophy, so put on fat where you don't want it to be, and just putting on fat in general. We shouldn't really be putting on fat too much at all. So what I started thinking of is we got to split those apart, right? So we got carbs. What I said before is carbs at one meal, fat in another meal, and protein in another meal. And I was reading the research again. I found the paper I was looking for. So if you want to look at that article on my website, if you go back 2 videos ago, I linked to that article on my website. I might link to it again here. I don't know. But the thing is that fat and protein spike insulin when combined with carbs. But fat and protein's interaction isn't really significant, just their interaction together. So what that tells me is that you can have fat and protein in the same meal, but you can't have carbs in that meal. Okay, so, and that makes sense with a lot of the foods that we see, like seeds, for example. Seeds have fat and protein, okay? So that would make sense. It's really interesting because the way nature works, or, if you believe in creation or evolution, whatever, it oftentimes does things in a way that is beneficial for us. So if we just eat one type of food at a time, like if we eat seeds, protein and fat, if we eat carbs like rice, like bananas, like bread or whatever, that's just carbs. There's really not a significant amount of protein or fat. So it's like nature does it for us. It has the foods in the correct way for us to eat. So the key is just not to combine stuff. Meat has protein and fat. So I came up with a method. What I was doing at the time was I had said that we should be eating small meals. So I had some chicken thigh, organic, and then or before I had that, I had rice. And so I had rice. I was feeling okay. I got tired for a few minutes, but not too bad. And then maybe an hour later, I had some chicken thigh, and I got really tired. So it's just that the blood sugar was still high from the rice, and the chicken thigh really spiked insulin and made me tired. So I messed up there. But when I just had chicken thigh on its own, I was fine. I was perfectly good. So I was like, well, maybe we need to separate those by a longer period of time. So I'm thinking, okay, how about this? We do carbs in the morning, just pure carbs, like bananas or rice or bread or whatever. No butter, no fats at all, no sugars. well, I guess sugars is okay, but no fats, no proteins. And then for lunch, we could have vegetables, just so we make sure all of that sugar for the morning does not carry over to the night. So for lunch, we have vegetables. Like if you want to do raw juices, raw can be more allergenic. So if you have trouble with allergies, you're going to want to cook your vegetables. Salads, just stuff like that with no dressing, no oils, no carbs, just vegetables. And the reason we want to have vegetables separate is because they are high in calcium and magnesium. And not many people know this. I only know this because I did cell culture in the lab. And that is that calcium and magnesium interfere with protein and carb digestion. So they interfere with pancreatin, trypsin. And so you don't want to have those with proteins, obviously. But they also interfere with phytate digestion. Phytates are like phosphorus-containing compounds in grains. So you don't want to have vegetables with grains or with protein. So let's have them in the middle of the day where they're not going to spike insulin. We're not going to get a crash after lunch. Just eat vegetables for lunch. And then for dinner, we're going to have fat and protein. So if you're a vegetarian, you could do seeds. Seeds is a great way. Or you could do, some type of maybe like. See, the problem with beans and lentils is they are carb and protein, which is two things we don't want together. So at this point, I would say stay away from beans, and beans also can contain anti-nutrients that can exacerbate like G6PD, glucose 6-phosphatase dehydrogenase deficiency. And so they might be a little oxidative. So we might want to stay away from beans and lentils and stuff at this point. I don't understand them yet. Maybe in nature's wisdom, they can be great as just protein sources, even though they have carbs in. Hopefully they won't spike insulin, but I don't know that yet. So I would say stay clear of them for now. But if you're vegetarian, seeds is the number one thing. Hemp seeds, excellent. Seeds for dinner would be the best thing. Because another reason we want this stuff at night is because we'll have things like growth hormone, we'll have things like testosterone, estrogen. All of these are using fats. And also, I think protein, growth hormone has to do with protein as well. And just building, repairing the muscles from the day's work and stuff. So we want that stuff at night. So, if you eat meat, fatty, or you don't have to even have fatty stuff, but, steaks, chicken, turkey, whatever you want. But there shouldn't be any carbs in that meal at all. So yeah. That is my diet plan. It's seeming to work pretty well so far. I ate pure carbs for breakfast, had no crash. Usually every time I eat, I crash. But no crash this morning because it's just pure carbs, just rice with some salt. There was no oil. I always combine proteins with my rice and oil, and that just causes me to just crash totally every time. So this time was just pure rice and salt as seasoning, and that's it. So I'm just working out now. I'm going to take a quick run, and for lunch we'll do vegetables, and for dinner I have a bunch of hemp seeds, or maybe I'll pick up some meat if it's super cheap at the grocery store. So anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. I am the Nature Hacker. Let's do work.